and welcome to another Daily Digest video. I am Ross Merriam, and today I have a deck that top-aided, excuse me, last week's Classic in Syracuse. This is a Naya Humans deck, which is pretty interesting. I think one of the key cards here is going to be Heron's Grace Champion. We have a very aggressive format, a lot of racing happening in Standard, especially against Mono Red that has a lot of reach, a lot of ways to get through blockers. And Heron's Grace Champion gives you a very easy way to lock up that race along with Glorybound Initiate. Thalia also very good against all these haste creatures, so should be interesting to see how it plays out, especially if we get the Mono Red matchup. Our opponent's mulligan is 6, and our hand is quite poor with just bad mana. Can't cast our spells, so I will mulligan as well. And this hand is fine on 6. We can cast most of our hand. We need a green source for this Brawler. That is it. Both keep 6. That's nice. And, Initiate's an interesting draw. Let's us play something other than Lieutenant on turn 2. But I think I really want to hit a green source and make sure my mana is good. So I'm actually going to bottom it. Don't really want to miss colors for any length of time in this format. And on the draw, I might be abrading on turn 2 anyway. And if I hit a green source, I also have a 2-drop. Terrorless Tracker, not a great draw. It looks like we are playing its Mono Red. Maybe not, though, because they didn't play anything for the first 2 turns. It could be a ramp deck, or just a bigger red deck. I don't know. Well, we found our green source, so that's very nice. Use up this energy right here, get a Brawler, have 2 more energy. Probably not pump the Brawler where they use that energy to feed this hub for other green cards. So they'll just have a 3-2 here. 4-3 after we play Lieutenant. I guess we'll try to play this Thalia. Okay, well, now our energy is definitely going towards hub. Yeah, maybe they just didn't have... Oh, wow. No 1, 2, or 3 drop. This has to be some sort of bigger red deck. In that case, I'm definitely going to play Thalia here or hold off on the tracker until I can get an immediate card out of it. Because it looks like we might just be trading for 1-for-1 a lot. Okay, no removal spell for Thalia. This is a Chandra. That would be pretty good. Okay, just Hazoret. Yeah, I guess they just have a really expensive hand. Well, at this point, I think Tracker plus Land is best. The next turn we can go Braid plus Lieutenant, and then Hazoret. So, mush for 3. Interesting that that's the first damage of the game. So yeah, we're definitely in a race, but I think my Hazoret should be able to get there. My guess is theirs will attack this turn. So they need to land drop double spell. Oh, there's a land. Might make it harder for them to double spell. But I bet they have it. Hopefully just some crappy creature we can abrade, play Lieutenant, attack for 8, and have lethal on board. And if either of our next 2 cards is a land, we'll be able to play Hazoret and attack with it. Okay. So they decided not to shock Thalia, which means I think they drew that shock fairly recently. Okay, they just activate the Hazoret. Makes sense. Well, I like that, and I think that's going to be my play here. Just uses my mana well. I guess I could play just Lieutenant, attack for 4, and hold up a Braid or crack Clue. I think it's just going to be best. This has a lifelink too. I think it's just going to be best for me to play this. Get my 4 life. Put me to 17. And they're going to be at 13 here, and next turn I'll be able to attack for 8 again. So I'm essentially presenting a 2-turn clock, and I don't think my opponent's going to be able to kill me in 2 turns. I guess, yeah, I go up to 16. Going to be difficult for them to race with my Thalia in play. They've used 2 removal spells. They're down to 2 cards. Next turn I'll have a Braid up. Good chance they start leaving this Hazoret back, actually, which could be awkward, but we'll find a way through. Would be nice to have some Declaration in Stones to deal with this, but only main deck removal is a Braid. And we do have Declaration on the sideboard, which will probably come in. I don't know, it's probably just better than a Braid. Although, killing something at instant speed like an On-Crop Crasher is quite nice. But, gonna have to weigh that against the value of killing Hazoret. Oh, I guess I should close that. Huh. What could my opponent be thinking about right now? Creatures they would just cast, so they have a removal spell. They're deciding which one of my creatures to kill within a Braid or something of that nature. I think that makes the most sense. So the Thalia stops them from getting damage in, but this thing has a lifelink, so that's definitely a decision. Creatures would not be a decision. And they might be thinking about whether to not attack with this, but if they have a removal spell, I think killing the champion and attacking for 5 makes a good amount of sense. I would certainly not like to see that happen. This Hazoret card is pretty good. That has to be the only thing they're thinking about. I can't imagine anything else. But what good? Can I think about what goes into the decision to try to figure out their last card? Okay then, getting very aggressive and didn't have a removal spell. They could still have an Abrade. Ugh. So let's play our thing. See if they have an Abrade. I imagine they're using it now to kill this champion. Okay, well, didn't kill it. That's great for us. And I think I'm pretty firmly ahead at this point. Even though this Hazoret looks kind of bad. Is there a way I lose after taking 5 damage here? Incendiary Flow, double Incendiary Flow is only 11. Yeah, I don't see how they get another turn here. If they had a removal spell last turn, they would have cast it, so they can't have 2 here, and they really need 2. Any creatures don't do anything. For many reasons. Okay. Took that one down. Definitely like Shock in the super aggro matchup. Yeah, I guess a Braid is just almost just worse than Shock, right? Except against Karizev. That's fine. I like these Declarations. I like these Harvesters. These Authorities meant for this matchup? This seems like a weird sideboard card. But seems like it's probably meant for the mono red matchup. Stops all their haste creatures, gives you a nice cushion of life. But we already have a bunch of cards we're bringing in. And I kind of like Always Watching to play offense and defense. Maybe this card is better than Always Watching. It's so much cheaper. I can't. I have to imagine it's in here for this matchup. So we'll try it. And what am I siding out? I think my Hazarets are a lot worse than theirs. Mine are probably not going to attack nearly as often. So let's cut those. I like the flash creatures. Tracker is probably bad. It dies a lot to shock without, and it's just not a great blocker. The turn it comes down, Thalia dies to shock, but it also blocks really well. And we're bringing in some 3-drops to replace that on curve. What else am I cutting? It's possible I'm supposed to cut Thalia's Lieutenant because I'm cutting down on humans. I like trim on lieutenants. That makes sense. Maybe I'm just supposed to... I just don't really like this card, but I kind of want to try it out because it has to be in the deck for this matchup. But I want a... I still have 27 creatures in the deck and 2 Aether Sphere Harvesters. I guess I could afford to cut another creature of some kind. What would that creature be? Maybe just cut a Thalia. This one. They're like legendary, die to shock. Deck has a lot of basics in it. Sure. Okay. On the draw again. Can't imagine our opponent is going to come out with as slow of a draw as they had there. But we have a pretty good hand on the draw. The turn 1 shock for their first play is quite nice. Our mana is awkward. This Game Trail and Fortified Village are going to have a hard time entering untapped. And I don't really want to draw another land. So hopefully I draw like a Thraben Inspector or another shock. So I can just go Vantage, then a tap land, and then a 3-drop. These things are humans, right? Oh, yeah. We're doing it. Ugh. Well, I drew a 5th land, and it doesn't let my lands enter tapped. So that's quite bad. Or enter untapped. There's the Karizev. And that Karizev is probably going to deal a good amount of damage. Oh, okay. This doesn't really block anything, but it lets me do something. I like doing something. I don't know, it makes our board bigger for this Heron's Grace champion. Sure, let's play a Fortified Village. Next turn we'll get to play Garrison. The Garrison can at least block the monkey. So Karizev will deal only 1 on that attack. Ugh. That's a lot of damage. This is 7. Yeah, sure. I think I'd still rather keep this Inspector. Actually, now I could play Garrison to double block the Karizev on the next turn. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have another source of energy. I take 6, go to 7, but I don't know. Any sort of removal spell is going to be really bad for me here. Flurrybound Initiate's interesting. I could play Tapped Initiate and then get to play Champion next turn. Or I can play Garrison. I think Garrison being more defensive is important. It also just creates this huge board for Champion. But not really liking the way we're looking this game. Opponent going 1-2-3 on the play. And that Lathnu Hellion is just so much damage. If they follow this up with anything good, we're going to be in trouble. It's not like our draw was bad, too. Our turn 2 just wasn't great. Okay, well, good thing we left the Inspector back to contain this Courier. And other good news is this Hellion is going to go away. So I go to 6. We might have just enough time to turn this game around. That was a very good draw. Let's just play another thing this turn. So we have plenty of blockers. Against like an on-crop crasher or something. Next turn we'll be able to attack for 8 lifelink with this champion. And that should be very good. Opponent stuck on 3 lands. Land Hazaret would be real bad news. See, okay. Ugh. Well, I guess I'm chumping that with a Thraben Inspector. Ugh. Um, yeah. No attack with Karizev. That's interesting. A little surprised by that, but I don't. I guess maybe then I could have just taken the attack then, but. So now. Maybe I'm supposed to attack and exert this as a 4/4 and leave back the champion to block. That would give me a 2/3 and a 3/3 with lifelink on the return. Um, or I can just send both, not exert this, have a 4/2, and they could double block. I'd be pretty happy making that trade and gaining 6 life. I'd be at 12. If they don't take it and have, say, a removal spell here, they get to then attack for 8, and that just brings me to 4, and I get to crack back, go 4 more life back, play this Thalia, start cracking clues. So I feel pretty good about just gaining the life here. So I guess I can just attack normally. Super inconspicuous attack. Yeah, unsurprisingly, no blocks. And let's gain some life. Okay. I think I might be in reasonable shape as long as Land Hazoret doesn't happen this turn and I get the Thalia down before it. Even a removal spell here I wouldn't be that mad about, but yeah, here's the land. This has to be Hazoret. So now in order, I'd have to block like the 2/1 and take. Okay. Crasher is fine. This is an 11-point attack, so I'm at 1. I guess I die to like a pump spell, but okay. Now that's dead. I get to gain 7 life here. Guess we can crack a clue first. Not bad. Definitely want to stop any potential haste to creatures at this point. And I want to gain as much life as I can. So let's attack and exert and attack with that. Now I'm going to go up to 8. Pretty safe life total. The on-crop crasher is tapped. I have 2 blockers. Their haste creatures are largely irrelevant. And they're at 7. So I actually have a lethal attack on the untap, even with this exerted. They have easy blocks for it, of course, but they might have to start making some bad blocks. Okay, so that actually can target this Thraben Inspector. If they have a removal spell for this, that could be good. I don't think they do. They might be at the point where they just attack with this Courier, and when I block it, they get 2 cards out of it. Okay, now they just want to make a very large board. So, yeah, I can't really make the lethal attack because Karizev just jumps in front of here and they can take 6. So I think all I'm going to do is attack with Heron's Grace Champion. Ooh, maybe not. So their crack back now is for 11. Say with a land, they can deal 13. So as long as I gain above, say they draw Hazoret, that's 16. So as long as I gain 9 life, I don't think there's a way I die. And this is a 10-point attack. Oh yeah. And they actually have to block with the Courier too, so that otherwise they're dead. or they put Karizev, chump block with Karizev. They have to chump block with something on one of these things. So I like that, and I get to crack this clue. So let's do that first. Oh, I don't think that's better than Champion, so Mushu. Oh, Hazard actually doesn't do anything because of this. Okay, so not even so Flow is their best draw. Oh, come on, they gotta know I have it. Weird block from them, but basically how we drew it up. Heron's Grace Champion makes these huge swings in your life total, and that gives you the time to overpower the red deck with more powerful stuff. They were a little slow in game one, but so were we. And they were fast out of the gates in game two there. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, followed up with a removal spell. Missed land 4 for a bit, but red aggro decks do that. I think there was a good draw from them, and they were pretty close to winning, but Heron's Grace Champion is a nice Magic card. And I don't know if it will be as good in a matchup like Zombies, where they can beat you on the battlefield with Liliana's Mastery, but I mean, you can go big with Valueless Lieutenant and Heron's Grace Champion, so that should also be a very interesting matchup where it's more battlefield centric. Same with Black Green. If you can keep their Nisas off the board and maybe make their Hero Hulks not as good, but you're a little removal light for that matchup, at least in game one. But definitely Heron's Grace Champion, an all-star against Mono Red, and you saw it right there. Hope you enjoyed this one, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.